Hello, pre-calculus students. Welcome back to another school year. So this is just a quick, as quickly as I possibly can make it, review of inverse functions. I recommend writing down the notation of this, especially if you had trouble with it on your summer packet. So the definition of an inverse function is an opposite. That's probably the best way to describe. Opposite. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out is hopefully you're not as sad about coming back to school as my niece Violet is. This was at my other niece's second birthday party, and I think she's sad because she couldn't have cake yet. So this is Violet. She's mostly happy, but she's pretty sad in this picture. Alright, back to notes. Inverse notation. Hopefully you remember this, but it's just the f to the -1 of x that denotes an inverse. Graph of an inverse is just a reflection over y equals x. What's nice about coordinates is that the inverse function is just going to be the opposite. So you literally just switch x and y. So the inverse coordinates would just be your -3, 0, comma, -1, 1, comma, 1, 2, comma, 3, 3. That one doesn't switch, comma, 5, 4. Coordinate-wise, what's cool is that it actually shows a reflection over y equals x. So if we just plot these real fast, 0, -3, 1, -1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 4, 5. These are tiny, it's hard to tell. So those are the coordinates, and then if you draw the line y equals x, remember that it goes straight to the origin, and then it goes up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and so on. That's y equals x. That's not yes, it's supposed to be y equals x. Oh goodness. That says y equals x, in case you're wondering. And then if you plot the other coordinates, the inverse coordinates, so -3, 0, -1, 1. See how they're just reflections over that line? Now my line is not perfect, but you can kind of see that they're opposite of each other, basically. 3, 3 is actually on the line, so that doesn't really reflect, but then 5, 4. So that's what it does. We'll go through how to find that algebraically, but graphically they're just a reflection over y equals x. Okay, real quick, just some steps to actually solve for the inverse. Switch f of x to y, literally switch the position of x and y, solve for y, and then switch y to the proper notation. So for our example that I'm going to do with you, we should start by switching f of x to y. That's our first step. So y equals 2x minus 3. Swap x and y. So x now equals 2y minus 3. Solve for y. So I want you to pause the video for a second. Solve for y. See if you get the same answer as me. Hopefully you got that. Y equals x plus 3 over 2. And then last step is to use the proper notation. So f to the -1 of x equals x plus 3 over 2. Okay, I'm going to have you actually try the next one. So take a second and see if you can solve for that one. So it's the 3x squared minus 1. Solve algebraically, and then you can graph. If you don't remember how to graph the function, just make a table of values or use your calculator. Alright, so hopefully you got y equals the square root of x plus 1 over 3, or proper notation would be f to the -1 of x equals the square root of x plus 1 over 3. So normally when we square root both sides, we get a plus or minus. In this case, it's only the positive because otherwise the inverse wouldn't be a function if you perform the vertical line test. So what I'm actually going to do is just plot the graph of 3x squared minus 1 real quick. So you start at -1. 3x almost like a slope, so it's almost like a skinny parabola. I'm just graphing the original function, and then I'll graph the inverse. The inverse is here, crosses over that, so it's going to look something like that. So just a sketch is fine of the inverse. If you wanted to get really technical, you could take the coordinates of y equals 3x squared minus 1, plot them, switch them around. Again, you can only do the top part of the inverse graphically because it is not a function if it has this little bottom piece, because it wouldn't pass the vertical line test. Take a sec and solve number 2 for me, algebraically only, and then you will be done. That's exciting. Hopefully it's not too hot while you're watching this, because I'm melting while doing this. Alright folks, hopefully you got g to the negative 1 of x equals x squared minus 4. If you didn't get that, remember to undo a square root, you square both sides first, then subtract the 4. If you have any questions, let me know next class. Otherwise, have an awesome rest of your day or night or whenever you're watching this.